Frustrating, frustrating loss out in Seattle. Uh, it's just you work so hard, you prepare the right way, you practice the right way, and things ball don't always bounce your way. You don't always get the results that you want, and it's just kind of part of the business. But how are we going to respond, and how are we going to go about this week, making sure we're doing all the necessary things that we need to do to put our best foot forward to go out competing at an elite level, get things back on track for us as a football team because we know what we have in this building, we know what we're capable of, and again, the results haven't gone our way, but we just got to keep on striking, just keep swinging, and eventually this thing will take a turn for us. I'm excited to get back home. Back at the bank, really, really good opponent coming in, a really, really good special teams unit at that, who's doing some really good things from that standpoint. Really good return. Their specialists are really good. You got Debo back there at kick return. You got rookie Jalen Lane, who's an explosive guy, really aggressive, getting vertical with the football. And, they got a ton of veteran guys mixed in the course. It's going to be a really good challenge for us and really looking forward to this matchup. Well-coached group. I think Coach Izzo does an unbelievable job with those guys, and it's going to be good. Looking forward to this one.
Matt, Wes Phillips was talking about Kevin O'Connell and just his sort of more positive attitude that he always has that can kind of sustain through tough times. I guess what have you seen this year when it's clearly been the most challenging year you guys have had?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is really that's what our culture is here is really remaining positive, staying true to our process, staying true to our way of how we do things around here, and you never really want to allow negativity to creep in because there's already so much negativity outside of the building at the moment that it starts to creep into the facility and finger pointing starts to happen, and all of that stuff is really what collapses teams and collapses a culture. And what we've really built here is a well-connected group, a group that has unbelievable chemistry, a group that understands and knows what it takes to win football games week in and week out, and they trust one another, they appreciate one another, and they have a ton of respect for one another. And from a leadership standpoint, I think KO's done an unbelievable job of staying true to who he is, always pushing that positive mindset, and really staying true to what our process is and how we do things around here. And, obviously there are going to be some things that we need to take a hard look at from a coaching standpoint, but also a player responsibility standpoint as well. Everyone is looking at themselves and trying to figure out how can we all be better in certain moments, situations, making better decisions. And, with that, you just hope that things will kind of take a turn for you. But it's been nothing but positivity. I've been in buildings where, things, are looking real grim and gray, and the finger pointing started, and you do see people, the culture and everything does start to collapse. I mean, it's not much talking going on around in the hallways, and, is people around here all happy-go-lucky? Absolutely not, because, no one should really feel comfortable because a lot of us, especially from a player standpoint, especially the young guys, a lot of the times failure isn't something that they're used to. And so, none of us should be okay with failure or comfortable with it. And, week in and week out, how good can we be just attacking each and every day and, find ways to get better. But, I think KO's done an unbelievable job of really keeping this team well connected, one, and two, there's a confidence that we continue to have week in and week out of knowing that we can go out and win a football game.
Talked about looking at maybe simplifying some things to maybe get some cleaner results. Was there anything you did last week that you felt led to some changes this week?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is not moving guys around as much, kind of keeping them stagnant, and that way they kind of understand and know what can they expect from an opponent standpoint, what their matchup is going to look like, which kind of helps them allow them to play a lot faster. And, you really kind of just keep things as stagnant as possible, not put too much responsibility or adjustments on guys' plates. And, I thought guys really played hard out there. They played fast. I thought we did some good things in the football game from kind of owning the field position about. I did think Mr. Wright probably got a little too drivey on some of those punts. We were going up against an elite returner. Would love to have a little bit more hang time on some of those balls, eliminate some of the space that we were giving them. I don't think we wanted to live in a world where we're hitting 60-yard balls or 57-yard balls with 4-2 hang on them. And so, I thought that Mr. Wright could just be a little bit better in that aspect of just kind of hanging the ball just a little bit more to give us a little more time to be able to get down there, either A, to force a fair catch or be able to swarm the return a little bit better. But overall, it was a pretty clean game for the most part.
Just in terms of that punt unit as a whole, you've been one of the better in the league in terms of net or pretty much any metric. We all talk about the gunners and Ryan's role on that, but other players that you could highlight that play a big role in the success that unit's had?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really starts with Andrew DePaula. When you start just talking about a clean operation, really a vet of the group. It's a ton of young guys out there. The last game we had, out of the core players, it was 6 rookies out there, I wanted to say. And so, there has to be a calming presence in the huddle. And I would say Ivan Pace has really kind of led the way in that, of kind of being a quarterback at the PP position. And it's funny because we've had multiple different PPs throughout the season. Ty Chandler was one. Josh Mattel has stepped in. Chicago was one. And kind of IP has kind of taken over that quarterback position. And each one has a different calming presence to them, and there's like a poise in the noise, and they're really the guys that provides this confidence to the group. And, I think Ivan has done an unbelievable job from really commanding the huddle, really doing a great job of communicating at an elite level. And, guys have great chemistry in there, understanding and knowing what the fits are, how we need to cover, what the philosophy is. But it always starts really with the punter. I say all the time, we need the ball outside the numbers 1 to start, which allow really Mr. Wright and those gunners to be able to play some good alley-oop ball, just kind of hang it and bang it. Allow those guys to go to work. And, I tell the core guys that, I really don't want to see any of you all making a tackle, quite frankly. I would love it if it's just the gunners. It's either we're forcing a fair catch or TT and Top Field are the ones making the plays. And more times than not, that's kind of result we've been getting. And if that's not the case, guys are doing a great job of defeating blocks on the line of scrimmage, getting out. I think we have some pretty good speed from an interior core standpoint as well, which obviously helps out. But guys are doing a great job of just making great combative decisions at the point of attack, stacking, clubbing, understanding how we need to leverage the football. And so with that, you create great chemistry within the unit, which allows you to really excel in, whatever the metrics are.
Matt, how do you transfer that culture and what Kevin does and all that stuff you're talking about into being a consistent playoff team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when you start talking about being a playoff team, it really starts at the top. I think it's continuity is really, really important when you start talking about at the coaching level, the schemes that's being installed, and from there it kind of trickles down to being able to have the right players. The players understand the scheme because they've been in and out for multiple years, and with that, that allows you to kind of open up a little bit more in terms of, from a schematic standpoint, what they understand, what can they do in the elite level. You learn more as a coach about how much you can push your players from a versatility standpoint. How much more can you put on their plate to be able to expand your scheme from year to year? But I think continuity is a huge reason why consistent playoff teams have a ton of success of kind of going to the playoffs year in and year out, just because there's not a ton of movement from a coaching standpoint, or really from a player standpoint too, because again, the more connected team that you have and the more chemistry that's built amongst the teammates, I think that's where you see a lot of teams being able to thrive.
Matt West was kind of just talking about what have you done for me lately, nature of, I guess, the world. Like, what is your perception on kind of how that has shifted and evolved since you've been in the NFL, or one bad season?
Yeah, and that's Yeah, that's a good question, Dane, because, you know, the NFL truly is a what have you done for me lately? And, you know, you have some teams who are patient and truly understand what the process is, and they know what the outlook is, whether it's a 5-year plan, 3-year plan. You know, a lot of people start talking about, well, you have these Super Bowl windows, and is the window open right now, or what does that window technically look like for certain organizations? And so, you know, from a player standpoint, it's what have you done for me lately? From a coaching standpoint, I mean, the stress, the anxiety, the urgency to win now is always at a premium, because, you know, it's a results-driven business, regardless of, you know, what everything else might be going on. You know, fans are eager for wins, and, you know, at the end of the day, it's our job as coaches and players to put together the best team that we can, and, you know, go out and put our best foot forward to find a way to go out and win football games. And, you know, yeah, it's hard business, man. It's hard to win in the NFL. You know, it's hard to win in the NFL. And you see teams go from, you know, winning to, you know, not. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Cool. Appreciate y'all.